Today, we delve deep into the profound teachings from Thich Nhat Hanh's Art of Suffering Retreat, his second Dharma talk from August 27th, 2013. In this timeless wisdom, we discover not just how to survive our emotional storms, but how to transform them into sources of profound understanding. The storm arrives without warning. One moment you are calm, the next you are drowning in waves of anger, fear, or despair that seem to consume everything you are. In that moment of overwhelm, when emotion feels like your entire reality, you forget a fundamental truth. You forget that you are much more than what you feel. The Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "You are very much more than your emotions." An emotion is something that comes, stays for a while, and goes away. You don't need to die because of an emotion. Yet how often do we find ourselves believing we are nothing but our anger, our anxiety, our grief? How often do we lose ourselves completely in the temporary weather of the heart? This forgetting is dangerous. It leads young people to believe that ending their lives is the only way to end their pain. It leads adults to make decisions from places of reactivity that they later regret. It keeps us trapped in cycles of suffering that seem endless, but are, in truth, as impermanent as clouds passing through an empty sky. But there is another way, an ancient practice so simple, it might seem too easy to work, yet so profound it can save lives. When Thich Nhat Hanh taught about working with strong emotions, he used a beautiful metaphor. He spoke of a tree in a storm. "Look at the top of the tree," he said, "and you will see branches and leaves thrashing violently in the wind. But look at the base of the tree, near the roots, and you will find stillness. The level of the mind," he explained, "is like the top of that tree during an emotional storm. If you stay there, in the realm of racing thoughts and overwhelming feelings, you will be tossed about mercilessly. But if you can bring your attention down to the level of the belly, to the rise and fall of breath itself, you find your roots. You find your center. This is not mere metaphor. This is instruction for survival. When you feel the storm of emotion approaching, and you will learn to sense it coming, like the darkening sky before rain, stop whatever you're doing. Sit down or lie down. Do not try to push through. Do not try to think your way out. Instead, prepare to receive the emotion like a skilled surfer prepares for a large wave. Place your hand on your belly. Feel it rise as you breathe in. Feel it fall as you breathe out. This is abdominal breathing, the kind of deep, slow breathing that signals to your nervous system that you are safe, even when everything inside feels chaotic. Breathe in and let your stomach rise as high as possible. Breathe out and let it fall as low as possible. With each breath, you are not just moving air, you are moving your attention away from the storm at the top of the tree and anchoring it in the stillness at the roots. As you breathe, remember what you know to be true. Even when emotion makes you forget, you are form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. You are vast. You are spacious. One emotion, no matter how intense, cannot define the totality of who you are. You have survived strong emotions before. You will survive this one too. Stay with the rise and fall. Keep your attention focused here, in this simple rhythm that has sustained you since your first moment of life. This is not about suppressing the emotion or making it go away quickly. This is about creating space for it to be present without drowning you. The emotion will stay for a while. Let it. Breathe with it. Breathe through it. Hold it the way a loving mother holds a crying child. With presence, with patience, with the knowing that this too shall pass. After some time, it might be 5 minutes, it might be 20, you will notice the intensity beginning to soften. The storm is moving through, and when it finally passes, you can smile and say to it, until next time, because there will be a next time, and now you know how to meet it. But here is where the practice becomes profound. What if I told you that your suffering is not your enemy? What if the very emotions you have been trying to escape are actually the raw material for something beautiful? Thich Nhat Hanh taught that happiness is made of suffering, just as a lotus flower is made of mud. Without mud, you cannot grow a lotus. Without suffering, you cannot cultivate deep understanding and compassion. The art is not in avoiding the mud, but in learning how to use it wisely. Think of compost in a garden. All the scraps and refuse, when treated with patience and care, become the rich soil that nourishes new growth. Your emotional pain, when met with mindful breathing and loving awareness, can be transformed into wisdom, empathy, and a deeper capacity for joy. This is why running from suffering is not wise. This is why the kingdom of God, as Thich Nhat Hanh understood it, is not a place where suffering doesn't exist. It's a place where people know how to use suffering to create happiness and love. Consider the young person overwhelmed by despair, believing that their pain is all they are. They need to be reminded that they are much more than one emotion. They need to be taught that this feeling, however intense, is impermanent. It comes, it stays for a while, and it goes away. Imagine if we taught children this practice from an early age. Picture a mother taking her child's hand during a tantrum and saying, "Let's breathe together. Let's feel our bellies rise and fall together." In that moment, she is not just calming a temporary outburst. She is giving her child a tool for life. How different our world might be if schools taught emotional regulation alongside mathematics. If workplaces had quiet rooms for mindful breathing instead of only break rooms for coffee and complaint. If we treated emotional literacy as seriously as we treat physical health. The practice is simple, but simple does not mean easy. It requires that you remember to use what you know in the moment when you most want to forget it. It requires that you train during calm moments so that the wisdom is available during the storms. Start today, right now, as you hear these words. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Notice which hand moves more as you breathe naturally. Now, consciously breathe so that the hand on your belly rises higher than the hand on your chest. Feel the difference. This is your anchor. This is your refuge. This is available to you every moment of every day, in every situation, no matter what storms may come. When anger arises, breathe with it. When sadness overwhelms, breathe through it. When fear grips your throat, return to the belly. Return to the breath. Return to the knowing that you are so much more than what you feel. And as you practice, you develop what Thich Nhat Hanh called the energy of mindfulness, the capacity to smile at your emotions instead of being consumed by them. "Hello, my little anger," you might say. "I see you there. I will take good care of you. This is not about becoming emotionless. This is about developing a different relationship with emotion, one of friendship rather than warfare, one of curiosity rather than fear. But what happens when you learn to breathe with your emotions? When you no longer run from your pain, but instead learn to compost it into wisdom, you discover that the very things you thought would destroy you have become the source of your greatest strength. You begin to understand that suffering and happiness are not opposites, but dance partners. Like left and right, they inter-are. You cannot remove one without losing the other. The goal is not to eliminate suffering, but to learn the art of suffering well. And when you suffer well, when you meet your pain with breath, with presence, with the remembering of your vastness, you suffer much, much less. You transform the raw experience of hurt into the refined gold of understanding. This transformation is not magic, it is practice. It is the daily choice to remember that you are the tree, not just the branches. You are the sky, not just the passing weather. You are the awareness in which all emotions arise and pass away. What would it mean for you to trust this truth, even when your feelings tell you otherwise? What would change in your life if you really knew in your bones that you are much more than your emotions? These are not rhetorical questions. They are invitations to experiment with your own experience, to test these ancient teachings against the laboratory of your own life. As Thich Nhat Hanh reminded us, you have survived strong emotions before. You don't have to die just because of an emotion. Feel your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your belly. Feel the vastness that contains all of your experiences without being limited by any single one. In this moment, you are practicing the art that can save not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch with your newfound stability. Every time you breathe through a storm, instead of being swept away by it, you become a refuge for others who are learning to find their own center. This is the gift of emotional resilience. This is the fruit of practice. This is how suffering becomes a teacher, how pain becomes a doorway, how the very thing that once threatened to destroy you becomes the foundation of your unshakable peace. The storm will come again. It always does. But now, you know where to find your roots. Now, you know how to breathe with whatever arises. Now, you remember that you are much, much more than any single wave in the vast ocean of your being. And in that breath, find your way home to yourself. Let this knowing settle into your bones. Let it become as natural as breathing itself. And when you are ready, carry this peace with you into your day, knowing that whatever storms may come, you have learned the ancient art of standing steady in the wind. In the space between the breath in and the breath out, in the pause between one emotion and the next, there is silence, there is stillness, there is the eternal you that has never been disturbed by any passing weather. Rest there. And when you're ready to continue this journey of awakening, know that each breath is a new beginning, each moment a fresh opportunity to remember who you really are beneath the beautiful, temporary dance of feeling. Take your time. The silence is where the deepest teachings live. How has your relationship with difficult emotions shifted as you've listened to these words? Let us know in the comments. Your experience becomes part of our collective awakening. For more contemplative journeys, into the depths of consciousness and presence, consider joining our community of seekers until we meet again in the silence between thoughts.